Hey, Cub fans, this is Randy Talks Cubs. Thanks for joining us today. Today we're going to talk Shota Imanaga, and I haven't done one of these pieces like this before, and I just over the last couple days have been thinking I need to do a little bit of focus on Shota Imanaga, the phenomenal rookie, the impact that he's had on the Cubs and the Cub fans, the whole fan base in just the short little over a month that he's been with the organization is something that I don't think I've ever seen. In fact, I'm trying to think of somebody that I can compare it to, and not at this early stage. Like you remember Mark the Bird Fidrich, how he was a phenom and a fan favorite and very popular, but it didn't happen that quickly with Fidrich, and I just don't know. Other rookies who have come in and have done what he's done and captured the fan base the way that he has, and I just think he's phenomenal. So I wanted to do a piece on him and sort of get to know his pitches a little bit. Try to figure out what his splits look like. We know he's doing great, and but we're maybe a little superficial in what we know. I want to go a little bit deeper. So let's just get to know Shota Imanaga. He's 30 years old and 250 days. Cubs signed him on at what looks like at this point a phenomenal contract for the club. It's a 2-year, $22.5 million contract with team options for 3 years after that. So Shota Imanaga is, for all intents and purposes, under control for 5 years. As a 30-year-old, he'd be 31 by the end of the season. So, contract-wise, it at this point it looks like it may be one of the better contracts that we've ever signed. He's 5'10", he's 175 pounds. His nickname is the Throwing Philosopher, and one of the things that I think makes him so popular, outside of his performance and his numbers, is not only his personality. He's an extremely likable, fun-loving, gregarious, witty sort of personality, very smart. And the other thing that he does is he's very animated on the mound. He gets excited when you think he should. He's thoughtful. He reacts to things. His facial expressions. You watch Shota pitch and you feel like, from an emotional perspective, you're right with him. And it's not overblown. It's not out of control emotions. It's very controlled, but there's still emotions. And I know we talk a lot about pitchers like maybe a Kyle Hendricks, who's very stoic and doesn't change. And I understand the positives of that. But from an entertainment perspective, you just watch Shota's facial expressions and he'll tell you. So he's just sort of at this point the perfect combination of entertainment value. And that's why I think for most every Cub fan, Shota Imanaga is must-see. I mean, it's the kind of situation where you'll put on your calendar when Shota's going to start, and you make sure you schedule around that. It's just been an amazing start for him. So let's get into some of the numbers. We'll start with sort of the basics. In 7 starts this season, he has an ERA of 1.08, 41 2/3 innings, 29 hits, 3 home runs. He struck out 43, only walked 5. He's given up the 5 earned runs. He's got a whip of .816, a K rate of 9.3 per 9, and his walk rate is only 1.1 per 9. He's got a WAR after 7 starts of 2.1. That equates over 162 games at 10.2 WAR. I'm not a big WAR guy, and a lot of people aren't, but at the same time, people do talk about it, and that's currently where he stands. In the runs that he's given up against the opponents that he has pitched against have a 4.66 run per 9 inning average. So, which means if he was performing average against those, he would have given up 21 runs. and he's given up just a fraction of that. So when you start looking at all of his numbers, his performance numbers, they're amazing. And the question is are these things sustainable? Are these things going to be, I mean, we can't realistically expect him to carry a 1.08 ERA with a .816 whip indefinitely. You just can't. So you wonder, well, how's that going to regress to what it should be? What is his, large sample size numbers going to look like? Because we would have to agree these are small sample size to this point, but 7 games and it's just the same thing over and over again. So what's going to be the turning point? Well, I think possibly the turning point will start to take effect after the hitters have seen him. So he is so different, and all the hitters talk about how the ball comes out of his hand differently. It's going to be a case of after hitters have seen him 3-4 times and kind of get an idea how that's going to change. So we'll have to see how it progresses, but right now everybody's facing him for the first time. And I think for that reason, Shota has a tremendous advantage, and he's taking advantage of that advantage. So let's get into some of his advanced numbers. His average against, here's what hitters are slashing against Shota so far. They're hitting 187, a 213 on base percentage with a 258 slug. OPS is 471. He has a batting average on balls put in play of 239. Do some pitching ratios. His home run percentage is 1.9%. His strikeout percentage is 26.9%, and his walk percentage is only 3.1%. Let's see how those equate to the league average. Home run percentage at 1.9. The league average is 2.7. His strikeout percentage of 26.9 compares to a league average of 22.4%. And his walk rate is ridiculously good compared to league, 3.1% compared to league average of 8.7%. Now, because of his pitches, especially that four-seamer that he uses up in the zone regularly, people are talking about his ground ball rate, his fly ball rate, and how that may play out. So let's go through those. His line drive percentage is 16.1%. Much lower than the league average of 23.7%, so they're not squaring him up. His ground ball rate is 35.7%, which is lower than the league average of 42.6%. And we know that to be true. If you look at his outs, a lot of his outs come from in the outfield. So his fly ball rate of 37.5% is significantly higher than the league average of 25.9%. So if you look at that, I think the first question you might ask yourself is, especially pitching in Wrigley as we get into the summer and the wind starts to blow out, a fly ball that at that rate could turn into a negative on him. We'll have to see how that plays out. But his fly ball percentage, 12 percentage points higher than league average. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays as we get into the summer months. But they're definitely not, his line drive percentage, they're not squaring him up at all. Let's do his splits. How is he versus right-handers versus lefties? Let's do the righties first. That's who he's pitching against predominantly. Right-handers have 118 plate appearances. In those 118 plate appearances, righties are hitting 177 with a 212 on base percentage, slugging 274 for an OPS of 486. The average on balls put in play is 218 versus right-handers. Let's see how he does against left-handers. You'd think it would be better against left-handers. Well, it's kind of a mixed bag here a little bit. 42 plate appearances, so about a third of the plate appearances that he has against righties. Lefties are hitting 214 as opposed to 177, so average is a little higher. On base percentage is about the same, 214 for lefties, 212 for righties. So the slug is down, 214 slug against lefties as opposed to 274 against righties. So the righties are slugging a little bit more than the lefties, but the lefties have a little higher average. I'm not sure what that means. But batting average on balls put in play by the lefties is 290, significantly higher than the 218. Home and away, everything looks about the same. 86 plate appearances home, 74 plate appearances on the road, 16 hits on the road, 13 hits away. Average against 188 at home, average against on the road 186. The numbers are pretty much the same. In the 7 starts, he's gotten the first batter out all 7 times. Leadoff hitters to lead off a game are 0 for 7 against Shota. And another stat that I think is interesting is his performance with 2 outs and runners in scoring position. In that scenario, there's been 9 at-bats. He's given up 1 hit and struck out 4. So runners in scoring position with 2 outs, Shota dials it up even more. Let's get into these pitches. His four-seamer and his split make up literally 88% of what he throws. So we're going to talk about what he throws, but this four-seamer and this split, and that's what makes it so interesting to me, is it's a very simple formula. It's four-seamer up, and I'm talking about up, like strike zone and 2 or 3 inches above it is where he wants it. So four-seamer up and splitter down. That's it. That's what he throws. You know it's coming. You're either going to get a four-seamer up or you're going to get a splitter down. And he commands them so well that that's what they are. It's like he's throwing darts. He puts his four-seamer up right at the edge of the strike zone, and his split is down on the edge down below. So he doesn't throw hardly anything in the middle of the plate, but he's up and down. So it's four-seamer up, split down. Throws a sweeper on occasion. So let's do the numbers. 58% of the time he throws the four-seamer, 30% the split, 7% the sweeper, and 3% he throws his curveball. He's thrown 3 sinkers this year and 1 changeup. Let's go back to the four-seamer. It's not high gas. It's 92 mile per hour average. It's a four-seamer, 92 miles per hour. Hitters are hitting 140 on it. His split is 83 miles per hour. Hitters hit 214. His sweeper is an 82 mile an hour sweeper. Doesn't throw it that often. Hitters are hitting 400 on that pitch. And the curveball, which he throws 3% of the time at 73 miles an hour, averages 333. So from 92 to 83 to the split, 82 on the sweep, down to 73 on the curve. It's very interesting. Let's do his values. His value percentile versus the rest of the major league. He's at the 99th percentile currently in pitching run value. His fastball run value is in the 100th percentile. His ERA is in the 94th percentile. His chase rate is in the 97th percentile. And his base on ball percentage is in the 96th percentile. It's just, as you go through it, it's too much. It's like, my goodness. But we know it's real because we've been watching it. I mean, you really, when you watch Shota Imanaga pitch, you expect him to get the next guy out. You expect him to throw the fastball there. You expect his split. I was watching the game last night, and you guys probably doing the same thing. And it's one of two. It's four-seamer at sweeper. And I'm getting to the where I'll say, give him the split here, and he'll put it right there. It's almost like a video game now, where you can put the pitch wherever you want it. And the time that he missed on his four-seamer yesterday, he gave up what was a hard hit ball foul, and it just illustrates that, boy, he has to. When you're only 92 miles per hour, you can't leave it in the middle. It's got to be in that spot. So that's what he does. Now, it's not just the 92 mile an hour pitch that he's throwing in a spot. It's got movement. It's different. So let's break down some of the get into some specifics with the movement. Let's do four-seamer first. Spin rate on it is 2,427 RPM on that. His whiff rate is 20.2%, his put away is 22.2%. So the seamer moves. It's got a 13.5 inch vertical drop, which is 9% above the average, which means it stays on plane better. So it stays on plane 20% better than the average major league fastball does. It has a horizontal movement of 9.7 inches, which is 20% better than the average major league four-seamer. So it's 92 miles per hour in that location, and because it stays on plane, not 20% better than the average major league fastball, that's what hitters see. Hitters see it, and their natural instinct is that's what it looks like, but it doesn't move like other major league hitters' fastballs do, up and down. It stays on plane, and the horizontal movement is 20% better. That's why it works. It's a combination of, it's not 92 miles per hour. 92 miles per hour is not fast. It's location, and it's the way that it moves. And hitters are just having all kinds of difficulty getting on it. Let's do a split, that nasty split. Back to the command on a split. He throws it wherever he wants to. To me, the fastball command is impressive, but the split command is the part that just blows my mind. So spin rate on the split, 1,110 RPM, 47.7% whiff rate. It's double the four-seamer. And that makes sense. If you're watching pitch, they foul off that four-seamer or pop it up. But on the split, they whiff on it almost 50% of the time. 24.7% put away on that. What's interesting about it is the vertical drop on his split is 32.5 inches. That's pretty much right at league average. In fact, it's about 10% below league average on it. And his horizontal movement is 11.4%, which is 7% above. So his split moves a little more vertically than average, and a little less a little higher horizontally and a little less vertically than league average. You combine those two with the location. He doesn't leave it up. And that's what I see a lot of pitchers that have a nice split. It's got the movement on it, but they can't command it. So if they keep it up, it's going to get hit. He just puts it in the right spot. Tremendous, unreal command on both those pitches. The four-seamer moves like it's a unique pitch. That's why hitters say ball looks different coming out of his hands, and that makes sense. His sweeper has 2,488 RPM, 29.2% whiff rate, 12.5% put away. It moves less than average on the sweeper. It's 7% below average on vertical drop and 33% less than average on horizontal movement. So, I mean, he shows it. That's what hitters are hitting 400 on it. You hope he gives you the sweeper. I think last night I saw the sweeper when I made a mental note was he threw the sweeper first pitch to a hitter who I think was coming third time through. So he was like, okay, that he's not thinking, he hasn't, nobody's seen it, damn it, been thinking about it. So he goes ahead and throws one, but he's not going to use it to get anybody out because it's, quite frankly, from an analytics perspective, it's not a great pitch. It's not great stuff. It doesn't have unusual movement. Same thing with the curveball. So why is Shota Imanaga four-seamer split? Well, that's why. That's what he is. So it's just so much fun to watch. You know, watching a pitch. He's got everything that you want from a Cub fan perspective. He's entertaining. He's likable. He wins. He's got command. You always feel confident in what he's doing. And a Shota Imanaga start is must see for us. Question is, how long can he sustain this run? Realistically, there's got to be a little regression in it somewhere, but I wouldn't say it's getting ready to happen anytime soon. But boy, he's been huge for us. what if we hadn't had Shota Imanaga here with the injuries, the things that have happened to us over the first 6 weeks of the season? If we don't have Shota, that we're in big trouble. He has held that thing together. So we really appreciate having him, and I look forward to watching him. I'm a big-time Shota fan like everybody is. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. I really enjoyed doing it. You watch them, and then, like I said, here on the RTC, we don't spend a lot of time in the analytics. In fact, when I hear analytics talk too much, I turn into Charlie Brown, and I don't need that much. I really don't. I think I'm very comfortable with my eyes, number one, and then I look at some of the numbers that we talk about regularly, slash lines and all of that, and I like exit velocity. That's a new stat that I think I enjoy, and so we don't get into the heavy analytics with spin rates and horizontal drop, and you can go on and on. You get in the weeds pretty quick. And as a Cub fan, which is this show is a Cub fan talking to Cub fans, I ask myself literally, what would I want to know? And the show is really, to me, designed for people who maybe can't see the game and don't have time to watch every game. And if you watch this show, you will feel like you saw the game, because I'm giving you the elements that I think you want without giving you too much. That's sort of my approach. It's like I used to be the guy that was too busy to watch every inning of every game. And when things changed in my life to where now I took advantage of it. And I was like, well, I do watch every inning of every Cub game. That's what I do. And I know a lot of people don't. So I just thought it was kind of an idea for me to do it and then talk to the Cub fans and give them a little recap. So it's like, okay, if you watch this show and you're a Cub fan and you watch this show regularly, you're going to know pretty much everything that you probably need to know. I'm going to give you information on what's coming. We do previews on the upcoming teams that we play. I give you sort of a play-by-play of what everybody did each game. You're going to feel like you saw the game. Knowledge-wise, you'll be able to speak to it. Then for those of you who are into every game as well and you see it, you don't really need to know what happened. I want to talk a little bit about my reaction to it, some of my thoughts and opinions on it. Moves, roster moves, and where we put people, and some of those. So I think this show is about doing a combination of that. I'm trying to put a show together that gives information and detail to the fans who maybe didn't see the game. I'm trying to give a reaction to the fans who saw it, want to know what I thought about it. Did I like this move? Who do I think is hot? All of those things. And it's really been a fun gig for me. And for those of you who have subscribed, I want to thank you. And for those of you who haven't and you're enjoying the show, I'm going to ask that you subscribe for me. And I just started this, and I feel like it's picking steam up, and I love doing it. I love talking to Cubs. I love having a place to put it, my thoughts and my ideas and my Cub fandom. It's just such a release. So if you're enjoying the show, hit that subscribe button for me. I really appreciate it. And we'll talk very soon. Thanks for joining us, and go Cubs go.